So I was speaking with Steve Albini a little while back, and he said that one of the unique things Kurt Cobain did during the In Utero sessions is that he recorded the vocals for all of his songs in a row, as opposed to working on one song at a time. Was Pantera's approach to recording music similar or different?
It was different. It was very different. And honestly, I think a lot of it had to do with just how each song was structured. Hey, we got to have this before we can have that over there to see how it's going to work. Because again, you got to realize that when Phil would come into the studio, he was there for a limited time. He would be flying in from New Orleans or wherever he might be, at the time. So limited time with that. So, honestly, we kind of got to a point to where, and Sterling and I learned to do this when we were working with Merciful Fate and King Diamond, is we would put a poster board up on the wall and we put all the songs up there, and it was kind of like a grid. And it's like for, when this part was completed right there, then you get a little sticker that goes on there. And so we would do that until it got filled out. So both Pantera and with with Merciful Fate, King Diamond stuff, that's how we would checkerboard it, so to speak. So I think a part of that was to just keep it from being monotonous to where it's like, I've heard these stories, of wonderful bands before, but it's like, what are y'all working on today? Oh, we're working on hi-hat today. Huh. No. Nobody that I know of or nobody that I've worked with has ever done it that way. It has a tendency to kind of get sterile and stuff of that nature. But now I have done metal records, that we went in and got the sound, what it was going to be up front. And that would take a considerable amount of time to do that. And then literally for the next 5-6 months, microphones never moved. We would go in and check it first thing every day, make for sure nothing had changed. So again, there's those different techniques, but to answer your question about Pantera, it would be, a couple of hours you might be working on guitar parts. Next couple of hours you might be doing a bass part. The next hour or two you might be doing a drum overdub or something of that nature. Hey, I need to go put that part in there. That needs to go there. So, even when the guys with Pantera were there at the Sound Lab, it literally was for 7 months, holidays and everything included. We would just shut the studio down and then just leave everything where it was and come back and
that's cool.
Check it. So that I think that's why I enjoyed getting to do it so much, getting to participate so much with Pantera. And it was never a chore when somebody would ask you to go do something. Hey, could you go take care of this for me? Yeah, man, let's handle it. Let's get it done. As far as the creative side of things, I know that the guys talked through every note that was ever played with any of that. And with Rex, it wasn't like Rex was there day in, day out every day. Rex was there when he was needed to put his bass lines down. But again, it was so that we could move forward with the other tasks that needed to be taking place while there. The same thing would hold true with Phil too. I mean, Phil wasn't going to be hanging out at the studio waiting to go do vocals, right?
Yeah.
So, whenever the part, or whenever the song was near completion and ready to have those other parts put on, whether it was bass or vocals, the guys would come in and just do their parts. But then what made it super cool was the fact that we would hang out together after the part was done.
Yeah.
So again, it was like a collective group of guys, right, wrong, or indifferent. We were having fun.
Yeah.
And that's what made that such a special 7 months.
When it comes to Cowboys from Hell, that opening riff when Dimebag's guitar sounds like it's moving in and out, would you happen to know how they got that effect?
The only thing that I could figure that it could be is one rhythm against a completely different rhythm. It wouldn't surprise me, because I've had people ask me too, hey, this solo here, it sounds like it's more than one guitar, is it? And it's like, well, yeah, absolutely it is. Oh, you mean that that Dimebag was able to come in and double that up verbatim. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it was not a lengthy process either. Once he had the solo that he wanted to do, or the part that he wanted to do, it was a matter of minutes, not hours. It wasn't a matter of days. It was a matter of, okay, here's what we're going to do. Yep, let's double it up, and off we go.
That is
so
cool.
That was really pretty cool too, to get to watch him do that.
That is so cool. Now, going back to Far Beyond Driven, that guitar solo in 5 minutes alone, in my opinion, has such a cool reverby sound to it. How were you guys able to get that echo effect going?
Well, I'm gonna just mention a name, and I'll leave it at that. Terry Date, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Mastermind behind not 90%, not 95%, but 100%. The ideas were talked through, and I know exactly what you're talking about. We had a not really a looper per se, but we had a tape loop that we would interject every once in a while. But here's one of the things that I can definitely tell you. Going back to the master 2-inch tapes, even today, if we were to do that, that album was so mastermind and so well put together. And you also have to remember, this was in the days of 2-inch tape. You had limited tracks that you could work with. Mm-hmm. And so that was so masterfully put together. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And then we would just go do it. And, I got to tell you, there were some nervous moments with doing like backwards types stuff. When I say backwards type stuff, maybe some guitar masking of certain sorts. You have to listen really carefully for all that stuff. But that stuff goes down on 2-inch tape where you've got limited tracks. And in most cases, you're going to have stuff around that area that you need to take the tape, flip it over, make for sure that you're on the right track, and then, get that effect recorded. But to answer your question, I'm going to leave it at the simple name of Terry Date. Dime had his go-to effects that he used for his guitars. And those effects weren't like, you never had like a foot pedal board full of effects. There were just a few, but that's all he needed. That's all he ever needed. It's kind of a roundabout way of answering your question.
Hey, no,
but it basically was a tape loop.
That's cool. No, honestly, like for me, I love these little details. So like that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So just this is more of a subjective question, I guess. There's this big debate amongst Pantera fans whether or not Metal Magic or Cowboys from Hell is really their first record. In your opinion, right, which one's the first record?
Oh, Cowboys from Hell. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's so much behind all of that.
So, of course, one of the trademark characteristics of Pantera is the intensity of Phil Anselmo's vocals. Considering how intense his vocals are and how much he screams, did he ever blow out his voice during the recording sessions for Far Beyond Driven?
No. So, again, as you probably are very well aware, audio can be very magical.
Yeah.
And a part of magic is sleight of hand, if you will. Mm-hmm. And in this case here, not to give away secrets or anything of that nature, but I'll say it like this: Phil was never stressed on his vocals ever. As a matter of fact, Phil never went out into the studio proper to do vocals. All the vocals were done right there in the control room. So that having been said, being in a control room, you're going to have speakers in the control room. So that means he also never wore headphones while doing any of this stuff. So that means, you got speakers on in the control room. And, at last I remember, we used a Shure SM58 for his vocals, every one of them. And so it was a technique that Phil used vocally that gets that aggressiveness, along with I can't shy Terry Date on knowing how to compress vocals and how to get that energy out of there without having to stress those vocals so much. Now, I don't want to take away from Phil either. because one of the things that I've learned doing metal music is that these vocals, there's a technique to all of that stuff, and it ain't for everybody. Mm-hmm. So, I have to give him, a good, probably 100% of the credit on knowing how to go about doing that without blowing his vocals out. It's really, really hard on those vocal cords. And I don't know. Here's what I do know is when vocals were being done, Phil only requested that it be he and Terry in the control room. So Sterling and I never got access to, the actual tracking of the vocals. But I mean, this is a big place, and there's a hallway outside the control room. And if it's like really loud and he's having to scream or something of that nature, we would hear that. I mean, doors and all, you would hear that. And I can tell you that we never heard screaming or anything coming out of the control room. So that tells me that it was a technique that he was using along with Terry knowing how to ramp up the preamp and then, contain it.
Cool. Wow. Okay.
So it's definitely a technique.
That is very cool. That is arguably the coolest thing you've said to me. That is, I had no idea. So you don't have to actually like scream like a crazy person to get that sound. Mm-mm. Really? Wow. Okay.
No.
That's cool. Mental note, because I've been wanting to record something myself, and I've been scared to blow my vocals out. So I'm glad you told me that. That's cool.
Yeah, and Daniel, I've heard about all these different kind of breathing techniques, and you're sucking in air as opposed to blowing out air, and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't think I would be a very good, metal vocalist at all. The techniques and all of that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more because there is a lot more to come. All the videos on my channel are original. I'm the one filming, editing, and conducting all the interviews. So if you guys like what you see and you want to support, the best way to do so is honestly just to subscribe. Thanks for watching.